West, 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 West. This the West, 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 the West Coast. This the West, 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 the West, West. This the West, 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 the West Coast.
Let's get it, West Coast Mindset, episode 4. And today I'm solely going to focus on the NBA because the NBA playoffs are about to begin, and it's going to be a very, very fun next couple of weeks. So I'm going to give you my insight on the best NBA playoff matchups as we begin the playoffs. Let's get started. Beginning with the NBA playing game between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. The winner of this series will play the Rockets on round 1, as the Rockets are waiting, being the number 2 seed, and we'll see who wins this game on Tuesday. And yeah, it's going to be a very good game. The Warriors were red hot the last couple of weeks, and a lot of people thought that they were going to finish in the top 6 and avoid the play-in, but they went through a really tough battle between the Clippers early this morning, and the Clippers were able to edge them out on the road. And yeah, the Warriors, they should be able to win this game. I think they're going to win this game. The Memphis Grizzlies, they've been crumbling the last couple of weeks. They've been going through a lot of turmoil with John Moran and his antics with being a buffoon and just disobeying what the people in the front office are telling him, and the NBA is telling him when it comes to the gun signs and the weapons and all that stuff. Although I don't really have a problem with it, but with Josh's history, with his past incidents with actual real guns in his hand, and then he's just doing these antics and all that stuff, it's going too far. Even for a young dude like me, I'm all for all that, for having fun, showing off celebrations. But when you have a history like that, it's just signs of disobeyment, and you're just being a jerk, and you're just telling them to kiss the back of your hand. And he's been doing that for a while, and he's costing him and his team a lot, and that's a big part of what put him in this position. And then, of course, they also fired their head coach, Taylor Jenkins, the last couple weeks of the season, which was very shocking and I think ridiculous, because I just don't understand why you would do it this late. Like, you're already a top 5 seed. Well, at the time, they were a top 5 seed in the Western Conference, and they were playing relatively well. They dealt with some injuries, but they were still in position to be in the top 6. But you fire your head coach, and then after that, it didn't really go as well. They went on a big losing streak, and they finished off okay in the end. But going into the playoffs, you need somebody who has been leading your troops, and the players know they can trust to lead the troops. And the new guy they have now, he's not very experienced with being the guy to lead that team. And I just don't know if they're going to win this game. So yeah, I got the Golden State Warriors winning this game and moving on to play the Rockets. And I'm not very high on the Warriors. A lot of people have been saying that they've been they're a title contender, and they have been hot ever since Jimmy Butler was traded there. They've been playing very well, so I got to give them their credit. But I still think they're a tier below in terms of being a contender. I don't think they're a title contender at all. So, but I will say this: they are an experienced team. And if they do win this game and move on to play the Rockets are a very young team. They have a very inexperienced roster when it comes to their top players. So they could shock them and move on to the second round and get a first round upset. So the Golden State Warriors should be able to make a pretty good run and at least get to the second round of the playoffs when the playoffs begin officially. Because right now it's just a play-in, and it kind of boggles my mind because with the play-in, the stats don't count when it comes to what the players do in the actual game, which is ridiculous. I don't see why. It's basically a playoff game, but with the way it's set up, it's basically just a win and get in, and then you're really in the playoffs. Although it's technically a playoff game, so I don't know. It's been like that for a while, and it's still kind of confusing me to this day. But but yeah, I got the Warriors win this game. And although earlier today Jimmy Butler did suffer a minor knee injury against the Clippers in the fourth quarter down the stretch, although he was able to stay in the game, but for an older player, that's not a really good sign. He should be able to give it a go and play on Tuesday, but you never know with knee injuries, man. The soreness on those knee injuries, and especially for an older player like Jimmy Butler being in his later 30s, it could linger, and hopefully for him and for his team that it's not too serious and he can play because they really need him because without him they were down in the dumps and they were in a big fear of missing the playoffs in general. So he's been a real spark plug ever since he got there, and he's giving them toughness when it comes to getting to the free throw line and getting to the free throw line and hitting free throws, being better on the defensive end, and really being a forcer with Draymond Green on that end and shutting teams down defensively and giving Steph Curry just a break when it comes to being the offensive guy and doing all the work himself. So he's a big part of that team. So he needs to be able to play, and he should be able to play, although maybe a little gimpy, but it just depends on how his knee reacts to it. So yeah, the Warriors, I got them winning this game, and they'll move on to play the Houston Rockets in the first round of the playoffs. Now let's move on to the actual playoffs with the Clippers and Nuggets in round one. And this is a pretty well evenly matched series for both teams. They were tied at a 2 apiece in the regular season, and the Nuggets, although they're a top seed, they've had a lot of turmoil the last couple of weeks when it comes to, as well as them firing their head coach and their general manager as well, Mike Malone and Calvin Booth. And it's been very weird the last couple of weeks with them, and they've really fallen down when it comes to being a title contender. They're still a really good team, but I just don't think that they're going to be a real threat to come out of the West because, especially with Jamal Murray being out the last couple of weeks with a hamstring injury, we don't even know if he's going to play in the first round because, the hamstrings, they're very hard to gauge. You can either be back in a week or you can be out a couple of weeks. It just all depends on how your hamstring feels, and it's hard to really manage unless you know yourself as the player. So we just got to see if Jamal Murray will be able to play, and if he doesn't play, then that's obviously a big crutch to the Nuggets. And just overall for this series, I think the Clippers are going to win this series because the Clippers, I think they match it very well. Although Kawhi Leonard, you never know with him. He's up. He's kind of like Jamal Murray the same way. Well, a lot like Jamal Murray because he gets nicked up a lot and he can be out for a week or a couple of months, and he always gets hurt the worst time. So the Clippers got to hope that Kawhi Leonard's over it and he can play and he can last the whole playoffs. But so far so good. He's playing, so that's good for them. So if he's out there, that's good. James Harden, although James Harden does have some history in the past when it comes to not delivering in the playoffs and coming up real short. But I like Norman Powell, and they have a lot of good perimeter defenders when it comes to attacking the Nuggets perimeter offense. And if indeed it is Russell Westbrook out there as the point guard and not Jamal Murray, I think that's a big disadvantage to the Nuggets, and that'll be easy to defend for the Clippers. And I think Ivica Zubac is a good enough center, and he has enough girth to deal with Nikola Jokic. Because either way, Jokic is gonna get his numbers no matter what. He's that good, and that's why he's been a multiple time MVP, and he has a chance to probably win MVP this year, depending on how the voting goes between him and SGA. So I think the Clippers will do enough to contain him, and we just got to see because I still don't know right now if Jamal Murray's going to play. But if he doesn't, I think the Nuggets are very undermanned, and I just don't know if they have enough. So I think it's the Clippers, and yeah, the Nuggets have a lot of questions to answer this offseason because they fired Mike Malone and they fired Calvin Booth, and there's been a lot of issues in the front office. They said that him and that Malone and Booth are not getting along, and it was a very toxic environment. And supposedly Mike Malone was not liked from the front office when it comes to playing more veterans instead of playing the young guys. He would play Russell Westbrook more than the draft picks that Calvin Booth drafted, and there was a lot of turmoil there, so it just didn't work out. So if you're going into the playoffs with the rookie head coach just getting started in the last week of the season, I just don't know how that's going to work. And Ty Lue on the other side is a well-groomed coach, championship-winning coach with the Cavaliers, and I just think he's going to find a way to out-scheme the other coach for the Nuggets. So it's going to be a bigger disadvantage, and yeah, I think the Clippers are going to do it, and they're going to beat the Nuggets, and the Nuggets are going home early, and they have a lot of questions to answer in this offseason. Moving on to Timberwolves Lakers first round. And this is a very good series as well. Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves are a pretty good team. And they made a good run last year facing the Lakers. And of course, everyone knows the Lakers were an already good team, but now they got Luka Doncic at the trade deadline. And the series was tied at 2 apiece in the regular season. And they both battled each other pretty well. But overall, I think the Lakers are a way better team. They have a three-headed monster when it comes to LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves. And although the Minnesota Timberwolves are a very good defensive team on the perimeter when it comes to Anthony Edwards and a lot of those other defenders out there as well, I just think the Lakers have too much to attack him with when it comes to offense. And although Anthony Edwards is fantastic, whenever he plays the Lakers, when I watch him play the Lakers, he does struggle a bit. JJ Redick's scheme when it comes to defending him is very good when it comes to the switching and having double teams attack him. And from the beginning, I didn't think that trading Karl Anthony Towns was the best thing to do. And I think it's really been a problem for Anthony Edwards, although he still had a great year this year. But I feel like he has to do more work, and I just don't know if he can trust his teammates to do more of the heavy lifting if they're going to double him and make him pass the ball. Julius Randle is a pretty good power forward, but he's a tick below Karl Anthony Towns in terms of being an offensive threat. So and he has a history in the past in the playoffs and not really delivered with the New York Knicks. So we got to see if he can pick it up his play, because he has to help Anthony Edwards out, because if he doesn't do enough, then the Timberwolves have no shot to win the series. But with that, obviously, I'm picking the Lakers. They're very good defensively when it comes to switching everything, like I said. And Rudy Gobert, he's not a big threat offensively in the post, so he can't really take advantage of the Lakers' lack of size, other than Jackson Hayes. So I think JJ Redick's gonna find a way to just blitz everybody and make Ant pass the ball. And yeah, the Lakers will win the series pretty easy. And I'll say they'll win it in at least 5 games, gentleman's sweep. I don't really see this being a huge challenge for the Lakers, but you never know in the NBA playoffs. And like I said, Anthony Edwards is a superstar, and if there's somebody that can find a way to get a team into a series, it's him, because he is the true deal. But they're gonna make him work for it. So I got the Lakers moving on to the next round. Let's go to the Eastern Conference now, and a series that I think is gonna be a really good one when it comes to old school basketball. The Pistons and the Knicks in their first round series, and this is my first upset of the playoffs. I got the Detroit Pistons beating the Knicks and moving on to the second round. There's something about this Pistons team that nobody is really paying much attention to, and Cade Cunningham, he's that dude. He's having a great year. He should be the guy to win Most Improved Player, because he's been fantastic. He has career numbers on all the stats on the stat sheet, and he's fantastic. And I don't know if you're watching, but they kind of brought back the bad boy mentality to Detroit. This team is tough. They're not afraid. They're gritty, and they play hard for the coach. I believe that Jimmy Bickerstaff should be the coach of the year, and I think they're going to give the Knicks a tough time, and I think they're going to beat them, because the Knicks, I love the story last year. They were a great team to watch last year when it comes to being that gritty team themselves, with a lot of that toughness they had last year. But when they got rid of some of it and got Karl Anthony Towns in the trade with Minnesota, they got better offensively. Obviously, they got more star power with Jalen Brunson and Cat. But I feel like their toughness and their grittiness went away with it. And there's been a lot of issues with the players and Tom Thibodeau complaining about him playing the starters way too much and not trusting his bench, and that really started a problem with a lot of the players in that locker room. And I think it's kind of lost the locker room in that aspect. And the players on that team are probably worn out by now. And even then, they're not the same defensive team. They don't have the defensive grit they used to have in the past. And Jalen Brunson was out for a couple of weeks, and when he was out, they were falling down pretty fast, and they weren't that good. And even with him, when it comes to challenging the best teams in the Eastern Conference, they went winless against the Cavaliers and the Celtics, and they've proven that they're really no threat to them. And I think the Pistons are not afraid of them either. So I think the Pistons are going to win this. And if they can at least get a split in New York, because it's tough to win the Garden. Obviously, the Garden's a very crazy in the playoffs. Those fans in New York are insane. So the Pistons have to find a way to get one of those wins. And I feel like if they get one of those wins in the first two games and bring it back to Detroit, that city's been waiting forever for a playoff series, and it's gonna be Rockets in Detroit, and I can't wait to watch that. And Cade Cunningham has been waiting for this moment ever since he came into the league, and he's really taken a step up. Malik Beasley is one of the favorites for Sixth Man of the Year. He's having a great year shooting the three. Tobias Harris has rejuvenated his career in Detroit, and just the overall vibe of that team, it's great. Jalen Duren, he's really grown into his own as a big man, and a lot of the young players in that team have really grown up, and I just like the vibe of this team. So I got the upset. I think it's gonna be a tough series though. I think the Pistons will win this series in 6 games. 6 games. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7 back in New York, but I'm gonna say 6 games, and the Pistons are gonna pull out the upset and move on to the second round. And let's close it out with the Pacers and the Bucks. This is a pretty good series as well. Although there is a little bit of star power loss with Damian Lillard being out with the blood issue. There's a possibility that he might be able to play, but we don't know with the blood clot. It's hard to manage. It all depends on just what the doctor says for him. So hopefully he can come back. But this is a pretty good series. Although the Bucks won this series 3-1 in the regular season, I think the Pacers are going to find a way and they're going to win this series. They beat him in the playoffs last year, and it's something about the Pacers. They have a lot of grit against this team, and they're not afraid of this team. Although, like I said, they did lose 3 games this year against them, but they were all close, rough and tough games. And it's going to be a lot of pressure on Giannis to carry the load himself. And this Pacers team, they're a very good young team. They're fast. Tyrese Halliburton has really risen to the occasion. He's really gotten back to what he was 2 years ago. Because 2 years ago, he was looking like he was going to be the next great superstar in the league. But last year he got hurt. Then he got hurt, and then he started to regress a little bit. But with that, he's back to that level, and I love the vibe of this team. Him and Pascal Siakam have a good chemistry. I like the other young pieces they have with Benedict Mathurin off the bench, and a lot of those other players off the bench, and just the overall like toughness and vibe and the way they move the ball in this offense. I like it a lot, and I think the Pacers are gonna find a way to beat the Bucks, and I say it will probably be like it's hard to manage this one because they're both really, really evenly matched. I gotta say, like the Pacers will win it in 6 games as well. I think 6 games, yeah, is the series winner for this, and it's a lot of pressure on Giannis and on Doc Rivers. You know, I mean, you know me and Doc Rivers. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the dude, but he has to prove that he can rise up to the occasion and get his team playing better in the playoffs. And you got a top 5 player in Giannis. So Giannis has to carry the load, and he has to be a beast on offense and defense and be an enforcer for his team. So, but we never know. Damian Lillard might be able to come back, but it just depends. We don't know the news when it comes to his injury with the blood clot. So I got the Pacers, and yeah, it's gonna be a very fun playoffs, guys. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to actually getting more information next Saturday, because right now, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the league, and the playoffs are just starting, and I still don't have the start times and all that stuff. So I'm doing it literally right after, like hours after these games just ended, and they just started, and they just meshed the new playoff bracket. So I'm gonna do another pod next week with all the official news, and I know who's playing and all that stuff. But it was good to do a way too early playoff predictions. And yeah, this was fun. So I look forward to it, and enjoy the playoffs, guys. I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I'm gonna do a lot of playoff talk when it comes to basketball, and I might even do some Stanley Cup playoff stuff too, because the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are going to start as well pretty soon, in about another week. So I'm gonna do some hockey talk as well. So It's gonna be fun, guys. This is a fun time of the year when it comes to playoff hockey and basketball. So I'll see you guys next week. And like I've always said, subscribe, rate, and review. Follow me on social media, and I'll see you guys next week.
This the West, 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 West. This the West, 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 the West Coast. This the West, 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 the West, West. This the West, 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 the